Perplexities and seas have raised more. This is Second Ezra chapter 9 verse 3. Therefore there shall be seen earthquakes. This is Second Ezra chapter 9 verse 3, and it reads through the Holy Scriptures. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars in the people of the world, Shalom, first and foremost, like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Akarkadash. Double honors to the elders for preaching this word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely as well too. And shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely as well too. And I say shalom to you Akim out there. And I brought out those scriptures, the book of Luke 21 and 11. Luke 21 and 25, with uproars and people in the world, with these protests and everything like that. With these protests and stuff like that. With these protests in the world, that's what you're seeing over there in Berlin. And then I believe it was another country as well too. I believe they was a rally against the current tensions that's over there with the Russia-Ukraine situation, So, you're gonna have uproars and people in the world with these protests and stuff like that, That's why I brought out Luke 21 and 25 and 2nd Ezra 9 and 3. I was about to bring out the news article, but internet connection tweaking because I got Boost Mobile. I believe they service is down. So I guess I use what I got currently, until the service be fully restored, so I can have a good solid internet connection, But in the meantime, I just brought out 2nd Ezra 9 and 3, what these uproars and these protests that's going on around the world, Just like I mentioned again, you had the recent protests over there in Berlin. Belgium, Berlin and Belgium, I believe, that goes into the distress of nations, war perplexities. And I'm gonna bring that out again as well too. This is Salakia. I'm gonna bring it out again since I brought it out the introduction of this lesson. This is the book of Luke, chapter 21, verse 25, red letter of Yahweh Shai speaking. I meant to say Salakia. This is the book of Luke, chapter 21, verse 25. And there shall be signs in the sun, and the moon, and the stars, and upon the earth the distress of nations, with perplexity, and the seas raised ruin. Right, because with the increase of uncertainty of what's going on around the world, with the Russia-Ukraine situation, tensions are stirring up. The hostility between the nations and these citizens of these countries around the world, there's our increasing uncertainty, and that's what you're seeing around the planet Earth, and these things are going to continue to gradually increase with the perplexity of the distress of nations, I'm gonna try to see if I can be able to bring it out. The protests over there in Belgium, or Berlin, I might ask. Reiterate that. Sometime the typo be tweaking as well too. Salakia now. Load up. Right, so as you see right here, you got the protesters around the world, with the protesters over there in Berlin and Belgium as well too, over I believe Berlin giving weapons to Ukraine, I believe. I don't know what this is recently or something like that, but I'm gonna bring it out if I can be able to go to the news article, because my internet connection is not so good, So that shows you a prime example of what's taking place around the world, of the distress of nations with perplexities in the book of Luke 21 and 25 that I just brought out. So I'm just basically waiting for the news article to come up and I can be able to read it, Lord willing. This is a news article from the Guardian, the AMP, theguardian.com, and this was published Saturday, February 25th, 2023, and this comes from Berlin, Germany, and it reads, this was published by Kathy Conley in Berlin as of February 25th, 2023. And it reads, thousands protesters in Berlin giving weapons to Ukraine. And it says about 13 people gathering as the Brandenburg gate, as the demonstrations also take place in other cities in Germany cities. And it says thousands of people have been taking part of demonstrations in central Berlin to protest and against giving more weapons to Ukraine. It says urging German government to de-escalate the crisis by paving the way for negotiations by Vladimir Putin. Paving the way for the negotiations with Vladimir Putin. And it says police eliminate there are 13,000 people protesting of the uprising for peace. Right, when that comes to mind, 1 Thessalonians 5:3. For when they say when they shall say peace and safety, sudden destruction come upon them. So we're not living in a time of peace. We're living in a time of war. The time, just like Ecclesiastes 3 and 8, I believe, through verse 9. We're living in a time of speaking of prophecies, and we're living in a time of speaking of the words of Yahweh Shemel Shah through these holy scriptures. These prophecies that's taking place. Just like I brought out 1 Thessalonians 5:3, for when they shall say 1 Thessalonians 5:3, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction come upon them. That's just a prime example. As I was reading through the article, and I'm going to read it again. Since I mentioned it, it says police estimate there were 13,000 people at an uprising for peace. Right, just like that rally. I think a rally against a war. I believe they had the protests over there in Washington, D.C. Now you got protesters in these different countries. Just like 2nd Ezra 9:3 says, there was going to be uprisings and upworlds in the people in the world, and that's what we are seeing. They're calling for peace. 1 Thessalonians 5:3, for when they shall say peace and safety, sudden destruction come upon them. And this is matter of fact, I'm gonna bring out that Ecclesiastes 3 as well too, and show you what time that we are in. So these protesters are calling for peace, but the current times that we are in, we are not living 100%. We're not 100% living in a world of peace right now. Just like I mentioned again with the recent anti-war rallies they have in Washington D.C. and anti-war over there, Belgium, Germany, and other places that have, these protesters and stuff. We're living in a time of war. We're living in a time of HATE and a time of war. WAR, living in a time of war. This is the current times and the seasons of where we're at right now in modern day society. This is Ecclesiastes 3 and 1. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. Ecclesiastes 3 and 2. A time to be born, and a time to die, and a time to plant, and a time to pluck up that which is planted. Ecclesiastes 3 and 3. And a time to kill, and a time to heal, and a time to break down, and a time to build up. Ecclesiastes 3 and 4. A time to weep, and a time to laugh, and a time to mourn, and a time to dance. Ecclesiastes 3 and 5. It says a time to cast away stones, and to gather stones together, and a time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing. Ecclesiastes 3 and 6. This is Ecclesiastes 3 and 6, and it reads, and a time to get, and a time to lose, and a time to keep, and a time to cast away. Ecclesiastes 3 and 7. A time to render, and a time to sow, and a time to keep silent, and a time to speak. Right, so this are the times that we are in. We are in the time of speaking prophecies. These prophecies happening around the world, with these uprisings and protests of these anti-rally wars over there in Washington. The protests, like I mentioned again, over there in Berlin, Germany, and stuff like that. So, this is the times that we're living in. I'm going to bring out the legends. Next verse, Ecclesiastes 3 and 8. And a time to love, and a time to hate, and a time of war, and a time of peace. Right, so we living in a time of war, We ain't living in no time of 100 peace, This the scripture, Exodus 15:3, a reference scripture. The Heavenly Father, Yahweh, him and his only begotten Son, Mashiach Yahushua. They are men of war. And we are living in those times. Even though everything's a balance. But this is the current seasons and the time that we are in. And with that war in Ukraine is gonna, that war in Russia, Ukraine is gonna continue to heat up. And rumors of wars around the world as well too. And I'm gonna bring it out again. Ecclesiastes 3:1. To everything there is a season and a time or purpose under the heaven. Right, because this is everything, a time and a season under heaven. Ecclesiastes 3:2. And a time to be born, and a time to die, and a time to plant, and a time to that which is planted. Ecclesiastes 3:3. And it says, a time to kill, and a time to heal, and a time to break down, and a time to build up. Ecclesiastes 3:4. Bring it out again through the Holy Scriptures. A time to weep, and a time to laugh, and a time to weep, and a time to dance. Ecclesiastes 3:5. A time to cast away, and a time to gather stones together, and a time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing Salaki. Ecclesiastes 3:6, and it reads, a time to get, and a time to lose, and a time to keep, and a time to cast away. Ecclesiastes 3:7, a time to render, and a time to sow, and a time to keep silent, and a time to speak. Ecclesiastes 3:8, and it reads, and a time to love, and a time to hate, and a time of war, and a time of peace. Right, so this is the times that we're currently living in modern day times, And I'm gonna go back into the Luke 21:25. This is the book of Luke, chapter 21, verse 25, and it reads through the Holy Scriptures. And there shall be signs in the sun and the moon and the stars upon the earth. The rest of nations were perplexity, and the seas raged war. Right, because the increasing uncertainty of what's taking place around the world, Well, like I mentioned again, what these protests of these people trying to do, anti-war rallies over there in Washington, D.C., as of recently, for the past couple of days ago. And I believe they're doing it today as well, too. I believe they scheduled to do a protest rally over there. So, this is signs of the times that we are increasingly living in, So with that, hopefully this walk and talk lesson was edifying through the spirit, power, grace, and mercy of Yahweh Yahushua. And first and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Wakar Kadash. Double honors to the elders for preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered in the four corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely as well too. And until next time, I will say shalom.